So I have a background in international business and art history, and was able to combine both of those studies in an art auction house that I worked for a few years. And then I moved back to the Netherlands, and I worked for an international press agency. They were specialized in cultural events worldwide. And I think that international environment really appealed to me, and it always has. And that's where, when I came across the little gym, there was a link. It was something that I really felt very comfortable in, an international franchise organization with units all over the world, kind of fit that environment that I was already in. I was a gymnast when I was a kid. I did a lot of gymnastics, but I never thought that I would actually do something with those skills and that experience later on in life. So for me, it was quite a surprise to actually see all of those things come together when I came across the little gym. I think the franchise actually was kind of a surprise to me. It wasn't something that I was looking for. I was interested in starting my own business, but also was apprehensive. Starting something for yourself, taking the risk without any experience in doing that. And for me, a franchise, therefore, seemed a logical solution because you are your own boss, and at the same time there is a support system, there's people around you that can help you, that have the experience. So therefore, for me, it was the right decision at the time. I chose the Little Gym franchise probably because it was quite a coincidence that this all came together at the same time. And with that I mean that the first time I was introduced to the Little Gym, it was also the first time I was introduced to a franchise system. And for me, that combination of a concept that I really felt very comfortable with, that had so many different levels, where I saw parents, the stuff that parents get out of it, all of the benefits that children get out of it, seeing the positive environment that mixed with a strong support system, for me made sense at the time. So I wasn't specifically looking for a franchise or a concept with children, but when I came across it, it made sense for me, and it made so much sense that there was no reason for me to look for something else. My daily and weekly experience in running a little gym differs quite a bit between when I started and how I deal with my business today. When I started, like any franchisee that gets involved in the little gym, you're in your business day and night, and really in the beginning you have to be very involved. You need to be there, especially in the pre-opening phase, and when you just get started. Some of our owners, including myself, choose to teach classes, something that I never thought I would be doing. But after I went through the training, I was very excited to try and do it and see how that felt. Also to be close to my business, even if I decided not to teach later on, that I knew what services we're offering to our customers. So I did that, and in the beginning I taught lots and lots of classes. I was involved in all of the birthday parties, making sure that everyone got the right service that I wanted to provide to the market. And then slowly, after probably a year, I took a step back and allowed my staff to take over more and more, which felt comfortable at the time. And at the same time, it was a real challenge to take that step back and allow for others to take over. In the beginning, for me, it was a conscious choice to be very involved in the business. And like I said, I taught a lot of classes, and I enjoyed doing that. But I also made a conscious decision, also because of my work-life balance, to take that step back and to work more on the business as opposed to in the business, allowing for my staff to take over some of those classes, run the operations in the gym, seeing also how rewarding that can be to be an employer and to be a coach to others, something that was a big surprise to me when it comes to what I get out of my job. I never thought I would have so much fun seeing young people grow in their roles and learning how to take on new challenges, take on new responsibilities, and enjoying that as well. So when I took a step back for myself, just to have a little more breathing space, I also did that to allow others to kind of take on new roles, kind of shine, take on new responsibilities, and enjoy themselves in new roles. I think what's really important today for me is that I have the flexibility to be in the gym when I choose to be in the gym, and I can do a lot of things from home. I travel a lot. I'm able to take on roles that are within the little gym network, but not necessarily in my own gym. So over the years, I've done more and more for the network and I became a consultant. I advise other gyms in Europe in the pre-opening phase, as well as the open phase where they need continuous support. I also work for headquarters in Brussels as head of operations. So there's more and more things that I was able to do because I am my own boss, and you are able to then decide, do you want to have someone else manage the day-to-day operations, and are you just there kind of on the sideline coaching, working with your teams, working with your managers, and at the same time I can still come in and teach a class if I want to. So it's the flexibility mainly that I enjoy now, and it's probably difficult to be an employee again. I can hardly imagine, actually. It's something that I think I will probably not get used to anymore. I think most rewarding, probably for almost everyone that works or has their own little gym, is a franchisee, is the surprise of getting such positive feedback on a continuous basis. Not something that you typically find in a business environment. We've all worked in a business environment before and had a good time doing it. But to be in an environment like the Little Gym that's so positive on a day-to-day basis is quite unique. And I don't think any of us were prepared for that. Just coming into your own facility every morning and seeing just really happy children and getting positive feedback from the parents, literally, every hour, thanking you for great classes, for good customer service. That's probably the reason why, after 10 years, I still enjoy coming into my own gyms and seeing those people smile and having my staff enjoy working for me. There's many memorable moments. I think the children and the instant, the feedback that we get, the positive environment, and I touched on it before, that goes without saying, and I think it's probably something that is most obvious if you set foot in a little gym. For me, probably also what I noticed is that a lot of parents come to the little gym and build a network of friends that become very, very important to them. And memorable moments for me are those as well, that international parents that come in and that after 3-4 years leave my gym to go back to their own country to come and thank me with tears in their eyes because their group of friends that they have for life is because of the little gym, and they are still in touch with those people years later and get together, have little reunions. So that's probably something that I wasn't prepared for, and it's a really nice bonus to have. Another thing that I think is for me also a bit surprising is how much I enjoy seeing my staff grow and seeing them not only within my own little gym, but also seeing them move to other little gyms within the network and moving internationally, becoming managers in other little gyms, something that is very rewarding also because often they don't expect it. When they start working as an instructor, to then see that they have potential and see that they have that potential to grow is something that they're often surprised by. And it's nice as an employer to be able to lead them and to look for new challenges. The support has changed over the years. When I started, I was the first franchisee in Europe, so we got a lot of the support from the US. In the meantime, we have been able to set up a really sound support system here, and there's a lot of advantages to that. We've created lots and lots of new tools that can help the franchisees, specifically in the pre-opening phase, to help guide them and making sure that everything's set up properly. When I started, those tools weren't in place yet, but I was very happy to receive the support more on a human level. So there was a coach that helped me, making sure that I thought of everything when I opened. And that was very valuable at the time. And like I said, in the meantime, besides that human aspect, we've also been able to create lots of tools that are more checklist driven, they are more automated, and therefore it is a really strong support team with very strong new support tools. So I think my biggest challenge was to take a step back from my own business. I enjoyed the teaching aspect so much when I started, and it was quite a surprise for me that I kept teaching too many classes basically, and I was too involved in the day-to-day teaching and day-to-day operations, that after a while I realized that in order to grow my business I had to take a step back. And luckily my coach at the time was able to help me with that. Also going through financials with me, making sure that I was ready to move to the next level, and allowing my staff to take on new responsibilities, to move up, so that and I think it has a lot to do with trust as well. I think a lot of us that are franchisees have a hard time taking that step back because we feel that we're losing control over quality. So it's also about empowering others and allowing your vision to kind of shine through others. So that's something that I really, I was challenged by that at the time, and I've learned how to overcome that. And I think my coach at the time really helped me with that, talking me through that, making plans, action plans, setting things up on in a spreadsheet. So really very practical tools for me in order to move forward and to take that step back and work on the business and not only in the business. I think for a lot of people, being an employer can be a bit of a burden. This idea that you are responsible for people. Some of my instructors have families, children, so it's something that I actually never really thought about until I was an employer. And yes, there is a sense of responsibility, but I don't see it as a burden. I see it as a joy, and I think it is nice to be able to allow people to work for you, allow people to make a living because you are there and your business is there. And actually something that touches me much more, quite a deep level than I ever thought it would be. Seeing people, and I talked about that before, seeing people grow and allowing them to take on responsibilities that they probably would never have taken on because it wasn't part of their education, it wasn't part of their kind of greater plan in life, and still pushing people to search for those boundaries and overcome certain fears and try on new things. Seeing them grow, moving into different roles, and like I said, move to other gyms in the network, really taking advantage of our international little gym network. I always played with the idea of opening a second little gym, and it took me a while to do it because in the meantime I'd taken on a number of other responsibilities within the little gym network. And I think for me what was really important was that I found the right people that could help me do that. As you're opening a second unit, it also means that you need to divide your time between two different places, and you need to manage the second unit differently. So when that opportunity was there, and I had the right people to help me start the gym, it was logical for me to open the second gym. I think I'm trying to think back if I had proper sort of financial expectations when I started this business. I don't really remember. I think what's important for me is that I can make a living doing this, and I can do it on my own terms, and I have the opportunity to work as much or as little as I wish to at the moment. So for me, it matches my expectations and that I currently have from the business. I think when you, with any decision that you make in life, you need to be critical, and you need to make sure that you have looked at all the pros and cons of owning your own business. And when you're interested in opening your own little gym, I would advise anyone to speak with other franchisees, because everyone has their own story and everyone has their own experience and reason why they actually enjoy doing what they're doing. That would be my advice to anyone that's interested in opening a little gym.